I think it's really important to treat your life as if it is interesting. Because if you're fascinated with your life, you want to be present for it. But if you aren't, well, it doesn't really matter what you do. You're going to be stuck in an endless loop of comparison and wishing your life was as interesting as the lives you see on Instagram. Hence my Hobonichi Techo 5-year life book. Okay, so if you're familiar with Hobonichi, you know that they sell a lot of planners, journals, paper products. I am falling more and more in love with Japanese paper products. And so when I was watching a video on like a planner setup, I love to do that. I have a planning system that works for me, but I'm always trying to find like new tips and tricks and see what other people do, because I just think that's really fascinating. Anyway, the Hobonichi Techo is this 1-year planner that people really love. And I already have kind of my plan for this year, so I didn't want a 1-year planner, but I went ahead and checked out their website anyway, because I was curious about what other products they have. And I came across this 5-year life book. And this is not the book, this is the box. So I'm gonna pull that out in a minute. I have thought about doing one of these journals where you like write just a little something every day over a period of a few years. And every time that I've looked at one, I've thought, I don't know, it just doesn't feel quite right. So like there's a really popular question and answer one where there's like a question for every single day of the year and you answer the same question, 5 years in a row. There's some other ones out there that have like reflection and whatever. And there are some that are just plain. And every single time I've seen one, I've just thought, I don't know if that's right. I'm just not sure. And for some reason, when I stumbled upon the Hobonichi website, I knew, like in my heart, even though I paid $31, I had to pay $31 of shipping, like this was the right book for me. So I got it a couple weeks ago. I have been writing in it. I think I'm like a day or two behind at this point. I'm going to finish setting it up, which for me just means adding a couple of things to the front and the back. I'm also going to do a little bit of a flip through. So go ahead and settle in. You can grab your tea or coffee or whatever you want. I've got mine today. And let's get started. By the way, I'm sorry if my hands are distracting. It's a little bit dry here these days. And so, and I have some ink on my finger as well. So, yeah, they're less than beautiful, but they will get the job done. So, all right, let's open this up. And I am going to get a cover for this. I have one that I ordered from Etsy, but it's not going to be here for a couple of weeks. So I just decided to go ahead and do this anyway. So right now I'm keeping it in the box to keep the leather just a little bit nicer. So as you can see, it's 2024 through 2028, and this is the 5-year one. It actually came with some practice blotting paper, which is really helpful because you can see like what pens are going to bleed through and where. And then just going to kind of flip through. There's a starter page. There's the name, Hobonichi Techo. There's the calendar spreads, which I didn't actually even realize was in here, so that's super helpful. And then I love this. I didn't write in the first day of the year. I didn't have it, but I love that this is like this grid with the dots. Like that is just so pleasing to write on to me. It's got the little numbers here, so you can kind of go through the months. And this, I'd have to scan this with my phone, so I don't know what it says, but there's a little bit of a quote from Hobonichi speakers and stuff here. And then for each year, there's just a little bit of a spot here on this side where you can write your thing for the day. And then there's an extra page where you can, keep track of lists or let your overflow come over here. So there's just a little extra space. You're not confined to just these like small sections. I hope you can see that. So what I'm actually going to be doing today, the main part, is going to be writing some intentions, basically reminders for myself as I'm going through this book about why I started this book in the first place. I don't want this to become like a thing that I feel like I have to do or I feel guilty about. So I want to make sure that, first of all, I have enough direction that I don't get super off track with keeping it. Because sometimes I get started and I get excited to buy stationery supplies and I don't actually like follow through because I don't have a solid plan. So I want to give myself just a little bit of structure so that I can follow through on these things that I want to do. But then I also want to make sure that there's enough flexibility that I don't just get upset with myself and quit the project. So 5 years is a long time. I need to make sure that I have a framework in place so that I can follow it, but also so that I can switch it around. So this is kind of what I've decided as I've been thinking through and as I've been making some journal entries, kind of the things I'm drawn to talk about each day. So let me get a little note card out and I will write that. I'm not going to write in the book here because I do want to be able to tell that I added it. And just also if I make a mistake, like the perfectionist in me wants to be able to change that out for something that's going to be like persistent for all the years. So, in the daily things, if I have to cross things out, whatever. I think I have one here that's like super smeared. Yeah, this pen smears a lot. And so, whatever. So let's get started. So basically, there's a couple of things I'm hoping to get from this book. The first is I just want someplace where I can kind of record memories and like just everyday moments in life. I have a lot of books that I fill with ideas and thoughts from others and stuff like that, but I've never really been able to properly keep a journal of what's going on in my life, mostly because I put a lot of pressure on myself. And so for this journal, I want to make sure that I am like kind of recording what it's like to live, to be me right now, that I am kind of leaning into the present moment and I am treating my life like it's interesting, like we talked about at the beginning of the video. But I also want to make sure that it doesn't become like this thing that I'm bored with. So I want to make sure that if, I'm like, oh, my everyday life is boring and I don't want to keep writing about that, I have some other ideas for what I can write about. I also want some place where I can look back and I can sort of see progress, see ways that I'm growing or changing over the years. And so, I don't want to just record the good things, although I feel like that's probably mostly what I want to do is like capture moments of joy. But I also want to make sure that I'm not shying away from like the stuff that is tougher. So with that in mind, here are some of the little guidelines I came up with for myself, or just mostly reminders, because I don't have to follow them. This is my book. I get to make the rules and I get to change the rules if I decide I don't like them later. But I think this is going to serve me well for 5 years. The first is that I want to capture joys, small and big. I feel like there's a lot of little moments that I pass by in my everyday life. And I am working on gratefulness and being grateful, which, there's a lot of studies that show that that's good for mental health, and it has been good for mine. But I also think that there's a lot of moments that I just sort of miss as part of my life, or I don't really give them the significance that they should have, but that make me happy nonetheless. And so I want to train my brain to sort of focus on those and enjoy them more. So that's one. The second is don't shy away from hard things. I feel like we've already talked about this at other points in the video, but really just talking about, some of the things that are going on in my life, the things that make it a little more rough. There are seasons to those too. And so being able to talk about those now with honesty and compassion for myself means that I can look back in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, and see how things have changed and be grateful for that as well. So I want to make sure that I'm not glossing over those, especially when it's something for myself, It's one thing if you're posting on social media or something to try to focus on the positive because you don't want to bring everybody else down with you. And I certainly don't want to bring myself down. But in my own like private space in this journal, I can write those things down. And I think that I should. And sometimes when I have so few words, I want to just focus on only the good things. So I want to make sure that I give myself permission to also talk about the things that I'm struggling with. Okay. I'm also going to say ask questions and record musings. Sometimes these are the things that bring me the most joy in my day, just like asking questions and thinking about things. And so if that is like the biggest thing that day, I want to make sure that I do give myself permission to do that. Again, probably most of the questions and musings and stuff will be covered in things like my idea diary or other journals that I keep. But for this one, I want to make sure that that is something that I feel like I can do if I want, that I've given myself that permission, because they make it fun. Like, engaging my curiosity makes it fun, and I don't want this book to feel boring. I might put occasionally at the end, just so that I remember that's not the main point. And this is a good one. If someone else said it better, feel free to quote them. I just did this earlier this week. We sang a song in church where I was like, oh man, that line, that's an amazing line. And so I just wrote that in my life book here for that day. I think it would also be fun to like take quotes from Andrew or quotes from friends and have that be like my entry for the day sometimes. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Next one. Basically, if you could take one snapshot of being you today, what would it be? I think that's basically covered what I want to include. And then I also want to just give myself some preemptive grace here. So the first is that it doesn't have to be perfect. I almost didn't make this video because I was like, oh, I want to get like some stickers and decorate it and whatever. And if you are interested in that, I probably will get some stickers and decorate it so I could do an update video in, I don't know, like a year or something, let everybody know how it's going. But really like, waiting for the cover to come or waiting till I find some stickers that I want to put in it. Like I'm really trying to embrace the imperfection of daily life with this and see the beauty in it. And so I'm just reminding myself like, hey, it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm trying to practice that in making this video too. So sorry if you were hoping for like a really beautifully laid out. This is just mostly my guidelines for myself about what I'm going to do with this book going forward. You can catch up if you get behind is my next one. And basically this is here because I feel like every time I've tried to keep a daily journal in the past, I inevitably miss a day. And then I feel bad for skipping. And then that actually makes me skip like more days. So my idea here is just basically like I write a lot as, just different things throughout the day. I have a planner that I'm always writing in, recording things. I have calendars. I have other journals. I have emails. I have texts. And there will be something, even if I'm like a week late, that I can go back and find in most cases. Like I did that after I ordered this book. I ordered this book after the beginning of the year and I just went through my planner and wrote down some of the stuff that I had written down in the planner. So like, for example, well, there's a lot of empty ones here, but January 5th, I said, what you can do is enough 3 times. And that is because that is what I had written in my planner for that day because I really, really needed that reminder. And so the fact that this is here is great. And I can always catch up doing stuff like that later if I need to. I do want it to be a habit, but I don't want to pursue the habit at the expense of actually being able to have this filled out at the end of 5 years. And then finally, if you're not sure what to write, imagine future Julianne and what she'd like to remember, and you'll be just fine. Yeah. Okay. So these are my little things to remind myself. Oh, let me see what I did with my tape. I might have actually left it. I might have left it in the other room. Yeah, let me go get it and then we'll put this in here. All right, back with the tape. I'm just gonna tape this in here. It's a lot of white and cream, but I like that. I feel like it's a vibe. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think I'd be happier with like one of the colors that I have. I got like a bunch of different multicolored packs of this tape when I bought it. There's like rainbow colors, there's black, there's brown, there's this white stuff. And I just feel like for this, classic is better because I'm going to have to live with it for 5 years. Okay, cool. We've got that taped in there. So now I've got my little reminders right where I can see them. Can't really see them from the binding, I guess. They're not really making it stick out that much. And then in the back here, we've got some personal notes and things. But what I wanted to do was I actually wrote this letter to myself. Ooh, it's kind of shiny in the light there. I actually wrote this letter to myself and I wanted to slide it in the back here. Let me see. It doesn't fit super well, so I'll probably put it in an envelope. And when I get the case, I might just slide it into the back of the case. And I can write open, what day do I want to open this? I'll be done with this December 31st. So maybe open December 31st, 2028. All right, I'm going to put this in here. Sealed, ready to go. Just slide that in there. I'm not going to tape it because I'll probably put it in the back of the cover when that comes. And here we go. It's all set up. So I feel like we kind of did a flip through here. Like this is the one that I was talking about earlier. So beautiful. And I can't wait to fill up these pages and see what's standing out to me at different days through different times. So I hope that was enjoyable. If you want an update, please leave a comment and let me know because I would be happy to update you guys on how it's going in a year or two. That would give me some accountability. Yeah. Hobonichi 5 year.